I don't really need to put in my 2 cents. No one really asked for this, but I'm bored, so this is what you're gonna get.
Yeah, self-control. Yeah, want you more.
My name is Vanna, and I am a 20-year-old trans girl. I've noticed that there is a lot of conversation about whether or not being transgender is a mental illness, or if it's a condition, or if it's just whatever. Yes. Do I believe that you need to have gender dysphoria in order to be a legitimate trans person? Yes. You do have to have gender dysphoria and mental illness to be trans. I'm going to break it down and explain it to you guys who might be cis, SJWs, anyone who's just uneducated. People seem to think that being trans is a choice. Being trans is not a choice. People would not choose to be a legitimate trans person with dysphoria and uncomfortable with their body and the likes. And this does not include those SJW, Tumblr, whatever the hell mess who just want to pick and choose. That's its own video for the future. We're talking about legitimate trans people. No one would choose this. Over being cis, no one would choose this. It's not fun. No one wants to do this. It's really not great battling with your mind. It's just not fun. Gender dysphoria. What is that? Trans people have what is called gender dysphoria, the condition of feeling one's emotional and psychological identity as male or female to be opposite to one's biological sex. My experience, gender, how I go about my life day to day, and what's up here does not match what I was born as and what my sex is and what my chromosomes are. Unfortunately, I was born into a male body. There's not anything that I can do about that. That's your sex. Your sex is defined when you're born, either male or female, or you have ambiguous genitalia that would make you intersex. And I can't even speak on that because I know I'm not educated about that, but I know that they still don't, they're not a third gender, they're just a genetic anomaly. You're male or female at birth. My genetics are male, and there is not a damn thing that I can do about that. That is the issue. That is what causes dysphoria, is that your body does not line up with your brain. A lot of what I'm saying is coming from this video that Gigi Gorgeous and ASAP Science did together called The Science of Being Transgender. Definitely suggest that you go and watch that. It illustrates everything what I'm saying to a T. Your gender and what's in your head develops at a separate time than your body. Your sexual differentiation in the brain happens much later than gonadal differentiation. Your body kind of decides very early on, like, okay, this is a male body, okay, this is a female body, or something happens that you're intersex and you're somewhere in between as far as gonadal development. However, your brain does not decide its gender, I guess, for lack of better terms, until later on in the womb. You can be born with an incongruence between your gender and your sex, and many people just don't have the language for it or the understanding of what this means until later on in life, when they learn what these things are, or they experience dysphoria, this loathing for parts of their body, and that's not a normal thing. So are there male and female brains? Yes, there is a difference, and there's plenty of research to back that up, and many different examples that can be given to explain how there are differences between male and female brains. A few examples of those are: males have a larger cerebellum and cerebellum and hippocampus. They have more connections between their hemispheres in their brain, which increases the ability to translate perceptions into motor skills, being able to identify a threat and act on that in order to protect their family, children, whatever it is. They just have that instinct and are more aggressive naturally based off of the wiring of their brains. Females have higher density frontal lobes, plus larger volumes in the right frontal lobe. And females have more connections across the frontal lobes, which translates to increased empathy, social skills, and nurturing behaviors, which are used, for raising children, which is what women are hardwired to do. Now that we've established that there are male and female brains. So what is gender dysphoria when it relates to that? My brain is female. My brain is wired more closely to that of a cisgender female's than it is of a cisgender male's. So because of that, my body does not line up with my brain. Therefore, I experience what is called gender dysphoria, which is a mental illness. It's an incongruence of your brain and your body. So this is why people transition. Yeah, it's a choice to transition. However, if you are aware that you are trans, or you are aware that you are experiencing gender dysphoria and you do not transition, you are going to have the worst life. I can't even fathom that, to wake up every day knowing that your body does not line up with your brain and feeling like you're wearing some sort of costume or something. I can't even wrap my head around that. What people don't seem to understand is that gender dysphoria is the sickness, is the illness, it's the problem. Transitioning is the only option, really, to alleviate these feelings and be able to move on with your life and not live with crippling depression and things like that that would result from not transitioning as someone who experiences gender dysphoria. You know, that's one last point that I have. Being trans is a mental illness, and people are scared to say that they have a mental illness. People are too worried about being politically correct to say they have a mental illness. I have a mental illness, okay? I'm admitting that, and it's not like that's one thing that's just an issue. Like, people need to not weaponize and make it so taboo to have a mental illness. I'm not saying that, you know, we need to make it so that all transgenders in the world decide that they want to hop on the bandwagon. It's also just something that is a part of life, and that's not something that people have control over. It's something that they cannot control. You can't control your height. You can't control, you know, how your voice sounds. You can't control these things, and having mental illness is one of those things. So if people would just realize, like, oh yeah, mental illnesses, that's a common thing, we wouldn't be so scared to call being trans a mental illness, so that people who are suffering from gender dysphoria can and will get the help that they need from doctors who are diagnosing them, because it's a mental illness. Like, that's what the hormones are for, that's what the surgery is for, that's what all of this is for, to alleviate gender dysphoria. It's because my brain is that of a woman and my body is that of a man, and that doesn't add up, cannot compute, help, and therefore dysphoria, therefore you transition. It's pretty simple, but people just can't seem to wrap their heads around that. So I hope at least some of that made sense. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you taking time to listen to me and my rant. If you guys want to see more videos like this, please make sure that you subscribe and hit the little bell notification, because YouTube doesn't like to notify people of their subscriptions anymore, which doesn't make sense, but that's a whole nother video. You know, if you guys comment in the first couple hours, I'll make sure I'll write back to you guys as soon as the post goes live. Hopefully we can start a discussion in the comments that's constructive. Please make sure that you give this video a like, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Give you my heart to break. Devilish, every kiss. Give you my heart to break. One look at you, I'm powerless. I feel my body saying yes. Where's my self-control? And when you touch me, I'm a fool.